I have an opening comment, and then I'll look forward to your questions. I've been hearing from a lot of Canadians that are hopeful about pharmacare, particularly seniors, and it's very heartbreaking if you ever heard stories from seniors who shared with me how they've got to choose between buying their medication or buying groceries with how expensive the cost of living is. And Justin Trudeau has an opportunity to fix that. He has failed before on pharmacare. He has broken his promise on pharmacare, but he has an opportunity to correct that now. And I'll be meeting with the Prime Minister later on today, and I'll make it very clear to him again. There are just 3 weeks left before he has to deliver on pharmacare. For Canadians who are expecting him to not fail again, this is the opportunity to deliver. So we'll be putting pressure on him to deliver in the next 3 weeks. Donc, j'ai parlé avec plusieurs aînés qui ont partagé les histoires de comment c'est difficile d'acheter les médicaments, comment ils doivent choisir entre acheter les épiceries ou les médicaments. Donc, ça brise le cœur d'entendre ces histoires. Justin Trudeau a une opportunité maintenant de régler ce problème. Elle a brisé sa promesse dans le passé avec l'assurance médicaments. Je vais rencontrer le Premier ministre aujourd'hui et je vais dire, vous avez 3 semaines pour régler ce problème, pour déposer un projet de loi. On a été clair, c'est la date finale et elle doit livrer la marchandise. Si il brise sa promesse, il brise sa promesse. Il doit expliquer comment et pourquoi il brise sa promesse. Donc, on va continuer de mettre la pression, on va continuer de négocier et dire clairement, vous devez livrer la marchandise.
C'est vous, ça veut dire quoi?
To clarify, though, are you saying that them breaking the promise does not mean you're pulling the plug on the deal?
Well, they would have walked away from the deal then. They're obviously, if they don't follow what they're supposed to do, they've walked away from the deal. Absolutely.
The deal's off.
If they don't deliver on an element of the deal, they have walked away from the deal. That is directly them breaking the deal.
Quelle est la conséquence?
La conséquence qu'ils vont briser l'entente. On a une entente maintenant. S'ils brisent l'entente, le résultat, ils ont brisé l'entente.
Donc, il n'y aura plus d'entente. Vous allez vous retirer de l'entente.
S'ils brisent l'entente, ils brisent l'entente.
Ça veut dire que vous ne les appuyez plus jusqu'en juin 2025?
Clairement, s'il ne fait pas ce qu'il faut, ce qui est clairement dans l'entente, ils vont briser l'entente. Donc, l'entente est brisée. Ça, c'est clairement... L'entente est brisée. On n'a pas une entente s'ils brisent l'entente. Je ne dois pas être plus clair que ça. Il y a une entente. S'ils brisent l'entente, l'entente est brisée.
Voterez-vous contre le budget?
S'ils brisent l'entente...
Oui ou non, voterez-vous contre le budget?
On n'a pas vu le budget. Comment on peut dire ça? On n'a pas vu le budget. On dit qu'ils ont trois semaines pour livrer la marchandise. Je vais avoir une rencontre cet après-midi avec le Premier ministre où je vais dire ça. Et donc, on va présenter, c'est clairement ce qu'on demande. Il doit aller à l'avant avec l'assurance médicaments.
Vous dites que vous ne serez pas obligé de voter pour le budget, c'est ça?
Are you still on track to introducing this before March 1st?
We've made it clear that that's the deadline. We have negotiations going on. But I want to make it clear to the Prime Minister, this is serious. He has failed on pharmacare many times in the past. He's promised himself in previous campaigns that he's going to move forward on pharmacare, has broken those promises. Now we have it in our agreement, and I'm going to force him to move forward on it. And I'll make it very clear, there's 3 weeks left. He has to deliver on this. The Prime Minister cannot break his promise again. The Prime Minister cannot fail Canadians again on this point.
You negotiated the timeline before, and if you are close but not quite there by March 1st, are you open to renegotiating that deadline again? Or is this a make or break deadline now?
In this case, we made it very clear that we understood that we were close and that we were not there, and so we agreed to this. This was mutually agreed upon for this extension. But because there's a need for Canadians, we've said we're going to fight as hard as we can to get help for Canadians immediately. So we've made it clear that they're delaying, they're dragging their feet. Canadians need help, so we're going to fight for more help because of this.
But just to be clear, it seems like your point is that the deal, they have broken the deal if they don't meet the March 1st deadline, but you're not saying that that necessarily means you'll pull the plug on support in future votes. It's just that the deal no longer exists. Is that correct?
The deal no longer exists. If they break the deal, they have broken the deal. That's what I've said, and I've said it again and again very, very clearly. I'm being very specific when I say that. If they break the deal, they have broken the deal.
Juste sur la question de mon collègue sur le budget. Je comprends que vous ne pouvez pas aujourd'hui dire si vous allez adopter le budget, je comprends très bien, mais est-ce que je dois comprendre que vous ne vous sentirez pas obligé de voter pour le budget désormais? Est-ce que ça, c'est honnête de dire ça de vous? Si le deal est brisé, vous ne vous sentez plus obligé d'adopter le budget?
Si l'entente est brisée, donc toutes les conditions de l'entente sont brisées, donc vous pouvez analyser ce que ça va dire.
Can I ask you, the Conservatives have been calling you a cover-up coalition with the Liberals. Today they posted a picture on their Instagram saying, quote, "Singh, I'll keep you in power till I qualify for my pension Trudeau deal." How do you respond to that?
I look at what Canadians are going through right now, and I think about what the major concerns Canadians have. And the two of the major concerns I keep on hearing are the cost of groceries and the cost of housing. On the cost of groceries, which so many Canadians are feeling very hurt by, they're saying, I go in to buy my groceries, it's more and more expensive. They say that it's corporate greed that's driving up the cost of groceries. Then they hear from the corporate-controlled Conservatives that their campaign manager is a key lobbyist for Galen Weston. They know that Pierre Poilievre is not interested in taking on corporate greed. We're the only ones with the courage to do so. So I would say the corporate-controlled Conservatives are in a coalition with corporations to keep them in the ability to exploit Canadians, rip off Canadians, and continue to have corporate greed run wild. We're the only ones fighting back against that. So that's a concrete example of how we're on people's side, and Pierre Poilievre and the corporate-controlled Conservatives are on the side of corporations.
But you just said in question period, for example, you know, at the beginning of question period last week, you said things are bad, they're really bad. The Conservatives started laughing because you are the party keeping the Liberal government in power. So how do you explain to voters why, given the state of affairs in Canada, given how deeply unpopular the Liberal government is, that you've decided that the right thing to do for voters then is to keep this government in power?
That's not at all what we're doing. We've decided how we're going to use our power. We've been elected by Canadians. How do we want to use our power? The Conservatives are clear how they want to use their power. They want to cut pensions. They want to cut health care. They want to cut school lunch programs. They want to cut dental care. That's what they want to do with their power. That's what they did. It's not speculation. That's how they voted. That's how they use their power. What are we doing with our power? In a minority government, we're delivering dental care for seniors, dental care for kids. We're getting legislation on childcare to make sure people can keep affording going to a daycare. We're spending our power. We're using our power to get people help. The Conservatives want to use their power to cut for you and your family. They want to cut the things that you need, and they want to cause an election where they're going to again propose to cut more things. What we're proposing is Canadians elected us in this minority government. That was not our choice. I would rather have been Prime Minister. I respect what Canadians chose, and I'm using my power to get people the help that they need. That's what we're doing, and we're forcing the Liberals. They didn't want to bring in dental care. They voted against it. This is not about them doing this anyways. We're forcing the government to work for you and your family. That's what we're
Un
doing.
mot sur Daniel Smith.
Do you have a fundamental difference of opinion on what this pharmacare legislation should look like? You've been very clear what you're looking for. The Liberals have been very clear that they see issues with that. How do you bridge that gap? Is it even possible, or is there a fundamental difference of what this should look like?
Well, there is a fundamental difference, and folks should know this. The Liberals want a plan that appeases Big Pharma. We want a plan that's good for people. That is our fundamental difference. They are opposed to a universal single-payer program, basically a program that their own commission, the commission report by Dr. Hoskins recommends. They're opposed to what makes most sense. They're opposed to what's good for people, and they would rather appease not just Big Pharma, but also big insurance companies. That's our divide, but there is a way forward, and we've been fighting for that way forward, and we're going to continue to put pressure. Well, that's something that you're going to have to see when we get to March 1st, when we get to, hopefully, that legislation.
J'aimerais vous comprendre là-dessus parce que vous n'êtes pas
Merci
d'accord
beaucoup.
avec...
Merci. Merci.
Bon.